presented. I'm Emma Hogan from ICHEC, our Centre for High Computing. We provide Ireland's national high-performance computing service to academics in Ireland, and we also provide services to industry. So probably your first question might be, what is HPC? Great, thanks. So what is HPC? So high-performance computing, you probably may not have heard of, but you may have heard of the term supercomputing. So they're fairly synonymous. So it's all about size and speed. Everyone has a laptop or a desktop. You might have dual core or quad core. On the HPC scale, we're talking about thousands or hundreds of thousands of cores. So basically it encompasses powerful hardware and parallel programming paradigms. So parallel programming is where you take small parts of computation and put them on an individual processor and then bring them back together to get a solution. So you can imagine something that would take hours on 2 cores might take significantly less than 1,000 cores. So this is how you achieve a speed up. Faster networks are also very important because each of cores has to speak to each other. So those who benefit from HPC generally have a lot of data. They're doing a lot of calculations, similar calculations repeatedly, or they're people who have computational problems that take a long time. So there are ways to optimize those problems to get a valid result in a quicker time. These days, HPC is often seen as sort of the third pillar of research. So alongside experimentation and theory, simulation is sort of the way forward. Quite often it's too difficult, too complex, too expensive to run experiments in real time. Simulation can step in. The classic example is Formula One testing. You don't want to repeatedly crash a Formula One car. You can do that through simulation. And if you want to numerically simulate it, you're going to do a lot of calculations, and for that you need a lot of processing power, and that's what HPC is. So where is it used? The classic example, Formula One, I mean in the aerodynamics as well. In ICHEC we do a lot of climate and environmental modelling. In products, things like reducing friction, the swimsuit there at the top right, in a Pringles can, how many can you fit and how efficiently can you do it. Also things like how a ship goes through waves. So various different aspects of modelling. So ICHEC then, we're a national technology centre. We're all about performance, accurate, fast and scalable. So we're around about 10 years now, and staff in Dublin and in Galway. We're hosted by NUI Galway, but with a national remit. So like I said, we provide the service for academics in Ireland and also to industry and public sector. Motto, I guess, is making technology work for you. We have, earlier on we talked about data scientists being fairly hard to find. We like to think that sort of everyone in ICHEC is part unicorn. You put it all together and you come up with something that's fairly unique. So we have wide-ranging skills, so across sort of the different domains, sciences, and with project managers. So we provide services across industry, academia, public sector, met everyone on their weather forecast on our system, and we work across application, compute and storage. One thing that our director is always keen for us to note is that we tend to work in TRL 4 to 7. So it's sort of in the gap where universities and industry act, so private research, in the middle there, sort of between blue sky before full implementation. Here's our national infrastructure. So Fionn is our current supercomputer. We're actually probably going into procurement soon for the successor, but you can see there over 7,500 cores and over 20 terabytes of RAM. Stony is the one that came before. So I'm going to look at a few case studies here for you. With DDN resources, we worked with Tullow Oil, who are oil and gas exploration company. And over 3 weeks looked at a problem they had with their code. They had I/O bottlenecks, so too much input output that was optimized. I guess we have to be cognizant of the fact that they bring the supercomputer onto the the oil rig sometimes. So space is an issue and power is an issue. So within a 3-week time frame, we achieved a 3 times speed up of the execution time of their code. We actually have an ongoing relationship with Tullow Oil as well, but this was one specific project. And this was presented at SC14 by my colleague Michael Brown. So SC is supercomputing, and it was in New Orleans, so that was a good conference. Another example is ValitaCell. So this is a biopharmaceutical development company. What we did there was develop an analytical dashboard from, so the software, and that's actually now bundled with their product. We're also an Intel Parallel Compute Center, so this encompasses data analytics, oil and gas, and weather forecasting. So basically those code bases, we're looking at speeding up using accelerators. So in this case, the Xeon Phi. We also work on different types of accelerators. So we're also a CUDA Center of Excellence, and we also do some work on FPGAs as well, particularly in sort of the energy efficiency sector. Sandbox model is something interesting that perhaps some of you would be interested in accessing. So I don't know if you're in the engineering sphere, you've probably heard of ANSYS. It's an engineering simulation tool. It's quite expensive to get the license. So we've partnered with CADFEM and basically provide a sandbox. So they provide the licenses for ANSYS and you can access it on Fion. And so companies like OpenHydro have been using that. So you don't have to buy the full license. It's basically a cheaper version to trial to prototype. Another partnership that we have in sort of the sandbox program is with the CSO and the UNECE. That's United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. They have a high-level forum on the modernization of statistics. So they're looking at big data and they're trying to come up with new measures, ways of measuring economic activity. And they have like a variety of different sources of data, and they basically want to look at lots of different types. So what we've done is provide them with a Hadoop cluster, with a Hortonworks data platform, and different tools that they can try out. So one of those is OR, which is open source and is quite useful for sharing across different countries. So this has actually moved on to a sustainable model now. It's a subscription-based model, and there's subscribers from as far afield as Australia and also Eurostat. Another useful one was with BDI, Biomedical Diagnostics Institute. So looking at cardiovascular disease, we've helped them speed up their workflow automation. Basically, you take a slide of blood, you take lots of pictures of it, and you're trying to find out how sticky the platelet is. So does it move along quickly, or does it adhere, does it roll, does it bounce? And these indicators give you a profile of an individual which may be able to tell you if they're about to experience some sort of clinical output, so like a coronary response or something like that, possibly a heart attack. So the end idea is to have a near patient device that you can scan the blood and go, you're in trouble. It's obviously still in research phase, but what we've done is turned around the processing time. So it's taking them 24 hours to process one single slide of blood, and we've brought that down to 5 minutes. And we've also provided a portal where they can just upload the images and they go through the algorithm. So it's much quicker for them. And then we've also improved the algorithm so that it tracks the platelets much quicker, and also used some machine learning techniques for the analytics side of it. On climate, we work quite a bit. Well, obviously Met Éireann, like I told you already, they run their weather forecast on our machine, and we do the post-processing. So we've contributed to the IPCC report with Met Éireann. That's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and one of my co-workers, Paul Nolan, authored the EPA report on climate predictions for Ireland. Been quite a lot in the news recently about that. This is a lot of applications in forming agricultural decision making and policy, and I'm sure a wide variety if you're interested in climate change, also weather forecasts. So we do high resolution monitoring of Ireland's current climate, down to 0.5 kilometres I think now. We're also engaging in reanalysis of that. Applications in flooding modelling, agricultural decision support tools, among many others. I also do wind forecasting for several commercial companies who shall remain nameless. Obviously they need to tell the grid how much energy they produce, so what we'll look at is running on our HPC system, running the models in order to predict how much energy will be produced. So you can see on the left there, the black is the actual and the red and the blue are the models, so it's quite accurate. The model's based on 1 kilometre weather model at the moment, although we are bringing that down to 0.5 and statistical corrections. Another interesting part of our work is we've just signed a contract with the European Space Agency, and we're becoming a collaborative ground segment. So basically what that means is we're archiving data from satellite imagery, and that's going to be made available to researchers in Ireland. So if this is something you're interested in, or if you're interested in access to the weather data or the climate data, if you're a researcher, come talk to me. We can see if we can arrange something. If you're interested in commercially, we can also look at that. So we have a pilot program at the moment with an SME as well, which I can't really say too much more about. But hopefully we're going to make it available through this portal, and it will be operating in real time, and also have some tools for you to be able to do some analysis in real time right there. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about was European HPC Access. So I've talked to you about ICHEC, Ireland, our high performance computing system, and what we can do for you. There's also several European projects that ICHEC is a part of through the FP7 programme and Horizon 2020. The first of which is SesameNet. So this is a network for SMEs. They're looking at connecting people, so expertise and SMEs who need the expertise, I guess. They're just beginning, so they're looking at identifying a pool of SMEs, and they're looking to try and find the best mechanism to match those people. They'll also provide training. That's probably in the next year or so. So if you want to get involved, or if you're an SME, I should note that this is all free. If you're an SME and you want to get involved, please fill out the survey on sesamenet.eu or contact my colleague Sufjan. And of course, this programme receives funding from Horizon 2020. Second Horizon 2020 project that we're involved in that offers free access to HPC clusters is called PRACE, the Partnership for Advanced Computing in Europe. It's a not-for-profit, and it has some of the top supercomputers in the world. So I think at the moment we've one of the top 10. There's 25 countries who work together to provide access, and it's all based on merit. So ICHEC, we're the member for Ireland, and it provides open R&D access for industry. So pretty much the only requirements other than merit, in that you have this need for HPC access, is an EU headquarters or significant R&D activity in Europe. So if you want to find out more about that, go to the PRACE website. There's also an SME program, which is SME HPC Adoption in Europe, called SHAPE. Again, if you're an SME and you feel you have a need to speed up your code, or a need for advanced modelling, you can look at the calls. They're annually. The latest one actually just closed, so probably it will be later in the year that we'll have an announcement on when the next call will be. So the website for that is prace/SHAPE. Finally, the access then. The overall criterion is scientific excellence. So if you meet the criteria through peer review, you will be awarded access. Totally free of charge. The requirements are you have to publish at the end of the award period. It's open to international projects, with the exception for industry. You must have some activity in Europe. 1 to 3 years, can be in individual or groups, and no restrictions on nationality. For preparatory access then, if you don't really know exactly what you need to do, you feel that you need some help to prepare your proposal, there's preparatory access as well, and that's every 3 months. There's a cut-off. It's optional, but you'll get support from PRACE experts, and we will help you prepare your proposal for project access. So if you have any interest in PRACE, you can come talk to me as well. So that's pretty much it from me. If you want to talk more about ICHEC, please feel free to contact us. If you want to find out more about SesameNet, Sufjan, and for PRACE, you can talk to me. So, does anyone have any questions?